friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to make another stitch sampler, washcloth or dishcloth or scrubby, using the Iris Stitch. For this project, you're going to need some cotton yarn. I'm using this number 4 weight Bernat Handicrafter cotton in a bunch of shades of pretty pinks and purples. I thought that would go great for a stitch called the Iris Stitch. You'll also need a crochet hook. I'll be using a 4.5mm hook today. You'll also need some scissors, as well as a yarn needle to weave in your ends. So gather your supplies and let's jump in. This stitch is worked in multiples of 4. For the foundation chain though, you have to add 3 additional chain stitches. So for my multiples of 4, I'm going to begin with 24 chain stitches plus my additional 3 chains for the foundation chain for a total of 27 chain stitches. So I'll start with a slip knot and then I will chain 27. 1, 2, 3, 4, 25, 26, and 27. For the first stitch, we're going to do 2 double crochets, 1 chain stitch, and 2 double crochets all in 1 stitch, which is going to be the 5th chain from the hook. So counting back from the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In this chain stitch, we're going to put 2 double crochets, yarn over the hook, insert into the chain stitch, yarn over the hook and pull up a loop. Now there's 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 of those loops. Now there's 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2 loops. That is a double crochet. We're going to put 2 double crochets into that chain stitch. And then we're going to do a chain of 1, and then 2 more double crochets into that same chain stitch. Maybe a little snug, but they'll fit just like that. And that's going to be our first iris. The stitches that we skipped at the beginning of the row here, they're going to make up the edge of the work. So this is actually the first stitch on the edge of our project. It'll be like this when we've done a few more rows. Now we're going to skip the next 3 chains. 1, 2, and 3. Then in the next stitch, we're going to do 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, all in that 1 chain stitch again. So there's 1 double crochet and 2 double crochets, and then chain 1, and then 2 double crochets. There's 1, and there's 2. Isn't this yarn so pretty? And then again, we're going to skip 3 chains, 1, 2, and 3, and then in that 4th chain, 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. We're going to repeat that all the way across this initial chain. I'll zoom through the rest of this row, and I'll meet you at the end of the initial chain row to show you what we're going to do next. So I've made it to the end of my first row. I just finished my last 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet, and there are 2 chain stitches left in that initial row. I'm gonna skip the next chain stitch, and in the final chain stitch of the row, I'm going to put 1 double crochet. And now we've got a symmetrical row. Let me show you. We've got our double crochet on the one side, followed by one of our irises, and on the other side, we have the chain followed by one of the irises, and that chain is going to represent a double crochet. Here's how she's looking right now, kind of like a shell stitch. Now for row number 2, we're going to start with a chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then we'll turn the work. Now we're going to skip all of these chains as well as all of these stitches here. And we're going to begin our work into the chain 1 space between those sets of double crochets. From this point on, we're actually only going to be working our stitches in these chain 1 spaces. We're going to start with 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets into that chain 1 space. So there's 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets in the same space. And guess what? It's going to be a repeat of that all the way across. So we're gonna skip all of these stitches and we're gonna be working into the next chain one space. So there's a chain one space here, a chain one space here, a chain one space here. You don't wanna get confused putting them into the space between those irises. We'll call these sets of stitches one iris. So we're not working into these big spaces. We're just working into the chain one space. So I've done one iris of 2 double crochets, chain one, 2 double crochets. I'll skip all of these stitches. Working into the next chain one space, I'm gonna do 2 double crochets, there's 1, there's 2, followed by a chain 1, followed by 2 more double crochets. And from here, I'm gonna repeat that all the way across this row. 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets in each of the chain 1 spaces. I'll zoom through the rest of this row. I'll meet you at the end to show you what we'll do next. All right, I've made it to the end of row number 2. I just finished my last 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet, and now we're going to do one final double crochet into the large space from our chain 3. So I'm gonna do a double crochet, I'm gonna insert the hook into that large space, and just create 1 additional double crochet. And then we will chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn the work. Now after 2 rows, you can kind of stretch out the work and you'll start to see that iris pattern that is so cute and so sweet. It is very shell-like, but I like that it's called the Iris Stitch. I think that's a cute name for it. So you can see again, we've got these large spaces between the irises, and then the irises are only working in the chain 1 space. So row number 3 is gonna be the exact same as row number 2. We're going to start with the chain 3, and then in the chain 1 space, between those double crochets, we're going to do 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. So there's 1 and here's 2, chain 1, and then double crochet 1 and double crochet 2. And then we'll just skip all of these stitches, working into the next chain 1 space, 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet. Since it's much of the same, I'm gonna zoom through the rest of this row. I'll meet you at the end to show you what we'll do next. Here I am coming up to the end of row number 3. Just gonna put my last 2 double crochets into my last iris of the row, and then I'm going to double crochet into the chain 3 space that we used to turn the row. Just 1 double crochet in that last spot. And then chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and turn the work. From this point on, it's going to be the exact same repeat for as many rows as you want to go in order to make what you're making. What I'm going to be making is a dishcloth though, so I am going to go a total of probably 15 rows. I think I might actually have to pull back and start mine again with fewer shells. Maybe I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. I started with 6 sets. I think I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do it with 4 just so I have enough yarn. I'm pretty sure playing yarn chicken I'm gonna lose. But I'm gonna zoom through that and I will meet you once I've got my final number of rows to show you what we're going to do next to make this a finished washcloth. All right, here I've made it to a square shape. So I went back and I pulled my initial chain back by 4 stitches. So I know I said I started with 27. So I pulled back to 23 and that left us with 5 irises per row. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I ended up going with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rows. And that gave me a nice square shape. I am obsessed with the color of this yarn, and I've won at Yarn Chicken. However, before I do a border on this, I do need to do my last double crochet, which is in the chain 3 space from the previous row. I'll put that last double crochet there, and then I'm gonna trim my yarn here and weave in this end. And then we are gonna do a border with a different color because I don't have enough of this yarn to finish that border. So let me just zoom through weaving the end in, and then we're going to create a border border to complete this washcloth. So we're gonna do this border in this sort of mint green, pink, red, cream color because I have a small ball of it and I think it's a good idea. And to do our border, we're going to start at any one of the corners. It doesn't really matter which one. I'm just gonna pick one of these chain 3 corners. To connect the yarn, I'm going to insert the hook into the chain 3 space at the corner. Then I'll put the yarn over my hook, pull that loop through that chain 3 space, and then chain 1 with both pieces of yarn, the tail and the working yarn. Then I'm gonna drop the tail, and then into that same space, I'm gonna do a single crochet. So insert the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. It looks like there's 3 loops on the hook, but remember these 2 loops are one piece. Then we're gonna yarn over and pull through both loops for a single crochet. Now we're gonna do single crochets across the top row. In those double crochets, we're gonna put a single crochet in the first one, and then a single crochet in the second one. Now we're at a chain 1 space, but we're gonna ignore that chain 1 space and we're just gonna jump right over to the next double crochet. So single crochet into the next double crochet, and then into the next double crochet. Basically, we're just going to single crochet 1 time in each double crochet all the way across. We're back at another chain 1 space. I'm gonna ignore that chain 1 space and go right into the next double crochet stitch. That is gonna tighten up the row and create a nice straight edge. So just single crochet across the top of this row, ignoring those chain 1 spaces. After completing that row of single crochets, you can see it has straightened out this entire top row here and created a nice straight border. And here I am at the end of that first row of single crochets. I'll put my last single crochet into the last double crochet stitch of the row. And now we're at another corner where there is a double crochet stitch. Now what we're gonna do in this corner stitch here is we're going to put 3 double crochets into that corner. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. By putting 3 stitches in the corner, we help turn that corner around. So the first stitch is kind of the end of the row, the second stitch is a diagonal, and then the third stitch is allowing us to go down the row. Now what we're gonna do for this side of the work, we're gonna put 2 single crochets in each of these spaces all the way down. So this one here, we're gonna put 2 single crochets in that stitch, 1 and 2. And then here, we'll put 2 more. There's 1 and there's 2. We're putting 2 in these large spaces because each of these large spaces represents a double crochet. And a double crochet is 2 times as tall as a single crochet. We wanna have a nice flat row. So we have to do 2 stitches per row all the way down to create a nice flat line. And here I am at the end of that row. I just put my last 2 single crochets in here and I'm back at a corner. At this corner, I'm gonna put another 3 single crochets in to get around the corner. So the first single crochet is going down the row, the second single crochet is our corner stitch, and our third single crochet is now working down the bottom side here. Now what we're gonna do in this part is gonna be a little bit different. If you'll remember, when we worked on the top side, we did single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet. So 4 single crochets per sort of iris. Now we're working upside down. So we're gonna have to do it a little bit differently. We still need it to add up to 4 stitches because we need it to be even to the other side, but we're gonna be working just a little bit differently. We're gonna start with 1 single crochet into that first space, the first space that has an iris coming out of it. Just like that, 1 single crochet. Then in these large spaces, we're gonna do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3, which will total to 4 single crochets per iris. We've just got it set up a little differently. Now we're back at that 1 single crochet, and then we have another large space where we will put 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're at a little space, so we'll just put 1, and then a big space, so we'll put 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then a little space, 1, and then a big space, 3. There's 1, 2, and 3. And then a little space, 1. And now we're at another corner. And in the corners, we put 3 stitches because we put 1 for the end of the row, 1 for a diagonal, and 1 for the beginning of the next row. So 1, 2, and 3. And then we can turn the work 90 degrees. And you can see now we've got a nice flat row for the bottom, a flat row for the side, and a flat row for the top. Now I'm gonna repeat what we did for the other side here, which is 2 single crochets in each of these large spaces all the way down. I'm gonna zoom through this last bit because it's the same as what we did on the other side, and I'll see you when I get back to the beginning of my round. Here I am at the end of that round. I put 2 single crochets in the last large space, and then the third single crochet is actually the first one that we did in the row, so that'll make 3 for our corner space. So to connect that, I'm just going to slip stitch the round together where that chain 1 was, and then we're going to chain 1 to bring our row up one more time. Here is how our little dishcloth is looking right now. I think it is very cute. I'm liking the addition of a different colored border. All right, we're gonna do another round of single crochets here. So we're going to just put 1 single crochet in each stitch, except at the corners. Whenever we hit a corner, we're gonna put 3 single crochets in the corner stitch. That's just going to help us get around the corner without having any puckering, and it'll keep it nice and flat. I'm just gonna zoom through this last round because it's all single crochets, and it'll just create that nice finished edge for our little dishcloth. So I'll zoom through and I'll see you at the end of the round. Here I am at the end of my round. I'm just gonna put 1 additional single crochet in that corner, and then I'm gonna slip stitch the round together, and I can trim the yarn now and pull that last bit through. And now I'm just gonna take a second to weave in this end, and then I think I'm also going to put this underneath the iron to just block it flat, and I will do that off camera, but once I've woven in the end and blocked it flat, I'll come back here to show you what it looks like. Ta-da! Our dishcloth is finished! What do you think? How cute is this stitch? The iris stitch. Oh gosh, I love it. I think this came out so cute. Blocking it under a steaming iron is such a nice way to finish off a project like this. I think it just crisps up those stitches. So you can see all the detail. You can see our nice little border. I think that added something a little bit nice and extra and finished to it. Oh, what do you think? Did you know this stitch before this tutorial? I feel like I've used it, but I didn't know it was called the iris stitch. I like it though. Kind of looks like butterflies when it's done in this purple variegated yarn. Let me know what you think of this project and if you're going to make something with the iris stitch yourself. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to everyone who is supporting the channel right now. Here is the list of channel supporters. Thank you guys, you're awesome. I really appreciate you. If you would like to join and become a supporter of the channel, check the links in the description box down below. All the ways that you can support will be listed down there, as well as any tutorials that would be relevant for you to figure out how to do this stitch. So I'll include the single crochet and the double crochet down below so that you can find those and master those stitches also. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!